Welcome back to TUTV. I'm Parker.
I'm Lily. Wow,
that was a good introduction.
Yeah, way to go.
Yeah.
Dang, social distancing.
Exactly.
Staying safe.
Speaking of which, I just finished attempting to do a mail-in ballot. Vote if you can. It's a lot of fun.
Duty.
And turns out there are 2 envelopes. So quick PSA.
Yes.
Put it in the small envelope before putting it in the big envelope. Otherwise, it's called a naked ballot, and they can choose to throw it out. So.
Oh.
Yeah, PSA.
I went home last night because I had to change my oil. So I was using my dad's tools to do it, but I had to vote as well. So I was doing it. It was like, I know for me, it's my first time voting. So it's like nervous. I'm like, am I doing it correctly? I think I am.
Yeah.
It's really cool.
Yeah, I don't know, because the big envelope is nice and shiny. You know,
Yes.
It's like highlighter and you sign it.
Mm-hmm.
So you're super excited to do it. But yeah, just a quick PSA. Hope you like this episode.
See you later.
Hello and welcome back to another episode of TUTV News. I'm Christina.
And I'm Will. Let's dive right into this week's stories.
University of Denver graduate Brittany Woodrum shelved her postgraduate traveling plans in favor of climbing each of Colorado's tallest peaks to fundraise for families who'd lost everything as a result of the pandemic. The series of mountain ranges in Colorado, nicknamed the 14ers, are considered some of the toughest climbing destinations in North America. Woodrum's journey lasted from July to September, and upon completing her last climb, after a total of 78 days of climbing, Woodrum had raised nearly $85,000 for the Shelter Box charity. Woodrum's donation is made even more impactful by the fact that the Democrat-ran House of Representatives has not yet reached a deal on a second COVID relief package.
The next presidential debate, originally scheduled to take place on Tuesday, October 13th, has been canceled. The cancellation can be attributed to President Trump's recent COVID-19 diagnosis. After the debate was moved to a virtual format, President Trump refused to take part. A new date for an in-person debate could not be decided upon. Despite the canceled debate, President Trump still announced that he would attend rallies in person, including a Florida rally on Monday, October 12th. At the event, attendees were asked to sign a waiver removing their right to sue the president or the venue if they contracted the virus.
Back before COVID-19 took its place as 2020's most looming disaster, World Food Program Chief David Beasley warned global leaders that the world is facing the worst humanitarian crisis since World War II, hunger. Beasley, who contracted COVID-19 in April, has spent the months since his recovery urging donors to help, making a special appeal to over 2,000 billionaires in the world to open their bank accounts. He said the WFP was facing its biggest scale-up in history, setting out to reach as many as 138 million people this year. The World Food Program is, quote, a leading humanitarian organization in saving lives, delivering food assistance in emergencies, and working with communities to improve nutrition, end quote.
Early Saturday afternoon, Black Lives Matter demonstrators took to the street in front of Tulsa City Hall. A number of demonstrators painted the letters BLM on the street before being dispersed from the area by nearby police officers. The letters were washed away by city workers shortly after the protesters left. The Tulsa Faith and Blue Prayer March occurred earlier in the day with BLM demonstrators as witnesses to the pro-police chants and police escorts. No confrontations occurred, with many Black Lives Matter demonstrators applauding as they passed by. The two groups stayed about half a block away from each other.
In a Tulsa Public Schools board meeting last Friday, teachers were given a survey that asked if they wanted to return to their classrooms for in-person schooling. The results of the survey said that 60% of TPS teachers want to continue online learning for safety reasons. This result stands in contrast with TPS Superintendent Deborah Gist's decision to make a return to classroom learning after November 9th. The Tulsa Public Schools Board of Education will meet again to discuss how the district will return to learning in a virtual meeting on Tuesday, October 13th.
Well, I don't know about you, but I feel like the virtual semester has really started to take its toll.
Yeah, I have more time, less credits, and arguably less work, yet it's taking me more time than any other semester has. How do you feel that too?
Yeah, I feel exactly the same way, and I have no motivation.
Me neither. Yeah, it's been a rough semester so far, but I think that's all the time we have. I hope all the other students out there are doing all right. I'm Christina.
And I'm Will. See you next week.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back. Right now, I am interviewing Melissa Abdo, who is here from TrueBlue Neighbors.
Hello.
Hello, welcome. Can you just give us a little bit of background information about what you do at TrueBlue?
Oh, sure. Well, I have been at TU with TrueBlue Neighbors for about 3 years, and I think TrueBlue is mostly known for volunteer service and connecting students and faculty out in the community. But we also have we also are really focused on our civic engagement work. And so in an election year like we are in right now, that's taking up a lot of our time. We have an initiative called TrueBlue Votes, and that really focuses on 3 things: helping students get registered to vote, and then helping them find nonpartisan resources where they can learn about candidates and different issues that are on the ballot. And then, of course, when we get really close to the election, we'll shift into voter turnout and making sure that everybody who has registered and done all their homework shows up to vote.
That's awesome. For individuals who are not eligible to vote this year, how are they able to, and where are they able to register to vote?
Well, there are several ways. We just had the deadline to become a registered voter in Oklahoma for this November 3rd election, and that deadline was on Friday. You can register to vote anytime by going to the Oklahoma State Election Board. You can download the form there. You can stop by our office. We always have copies of it. But if you filled out your application today to register to vote, you would not be eligible for the November 3rd. You would be able to vote in the next election after that. So you can register anytime, but there are deadlines leading up to specific elections.
Understandable. Also, can you explain why it is so important to vote and why it's so important to register to vote as well?
Sure. Well, I love this question because voting is just such an important part of making sure that that your voice is heard, and that the things that are important to you are that you're talking to candidates, that you're listening to people who are running for office to represent you, that you're making sure that you're electing people who reflect your priorities. And so really, we talk a lot about this ladder of engagement because TrueBlue Neighbors is also so focused on service. And that's awesome, and that is wonderful. But we're spending a lot of time out in the community volunteering, working with nonprofit organizations, and we identify issues that are important to us. Everyone has things that they're going to become passionate about. And so if you're not then also looking for candidates that share those same issues and trying to help those people get elected, or making sure that you're showing up to participate by voting in every election, then really you're doing a whole lot of work. And then when it comes time to the decision makers, they may not always be in alignment with what you think is important.
That's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Also, where can you check to make sure that you are registered to vote?
Sure, there's a couple of ways you can do that. If the easiest way, if you're wanting to do it online, is just to Google the Oklahoma voter portal. And there's a ton of stuff that you can do from there. It's really a great website. You can, if you've registered, you can check to see that you're in the system. You should get, if you're registered, after about 3 or 4 weeks, you should get a little paper voter ID card like this in the mail. If you want to check before you actually get your card in the mail, go to that website. You can enter your name and your address and your birth date. And then not only can you check to see if you're registered to vote, but you can also pull down your sample ballot so that when you walk in, when you walk in on election day, it's not a surprise. You've seen what's on your ballot. You can actually mark on it, almost kind of like a little cheat sheet, and take that in with you to vote. I've done that sometimes on the state questions. So that's a great website. You can also always call your county election board where you registered and just ask somebody on the phone to verify that you're registered in that county.
Awesome. Another question too, do you ever have to re-register to vote?
Yes. For the rest of your life, you will need to re-register to vote every time you move. So every time if your college students are in a unique situation because they can either register with their campus address or you can register with your back home address. And so it really doesn't matter to us where you register. It just really depends on how convenient it's going to be for you, if you're going to request an absentee ballot from back home, or if you want to plug into certain politics. No matter where you are, we're all going to vote in the same presidential election. But after that, when you start thinking about governors and city councils and school boards, do you want to plug into elections that are in the Tulsa area with your TU address, or do you want to pay more attention to the politics in your back home, wherever you're from? So, but yes, every time you move, when you leave TU, you should update your address. And in Oklahoma, it's really easy. Once you're a registered voter, you can go to that Oklahoma voter portal and just real quickly say, I need to change my address. Same thing if you have a name change in the future, you can update your name online. So once you're in the system, it's easy to update.
Welcome back to TUTV Sports. I'm Harry Lebowski.
And I'm Ethan Worley. Let's jump right into the episode.
The Miami Heat remained alive in the finals after a clutch 3-point win against the Los Angeles Lakers in Game 5. But the Lakers' decisive victory in Game 6 makes them the 2020 NBA champions. The Miami Heat came out on top in Game 5 thanks to the efforts of Jimmy Butler with 35 points and Duncan Robinson with 26 points. But they could not stop the Lakers from blowing past them in Game 6. LeBron James was declared the Finals MVP with a stellar performance throughout the series, averaging 30 points, 11 rebounds, and 8 assists per game. In a post-game interview, LeBron James commended the Lakers organization as a whole, saying he was, quote, honored to be part of such a historic franchise, end quote.
The Seattle Storm won the 2020 WNBA championship this past Tuesday. This win comes after a 92-59 victory over the first seed Las Vegas Aces to complete the 3-game sweep. The MVP of the finals was Breanna Stewart by unanimous decision. Stewart played amazingly throughout the playoffs and capped her series off with a 26-point showing in Game 3 of the finals. The Storm finished their dominant playoff run with their third WNBA championship in 5 years.
The MLB playoffs are moving on to the championship series. The American League Championship Series features a matchup between the skillful Tampa Bay Rays and the controversial Houston Astros. This matchup's result will hinge on whether or not the Rays pitching can shut down the Astros' explosive offense. The National League Championship Series is between the juggernaut Los Angeles Dodgers and the hard-hitting Atlanta Braves. This series will likely come down to whether or not the heart of the Braves lineup can score on the phenomenal Dodgers pitching. Be sure to tune into TUTV for coverage as the playoffs continue.
The UFC middleweight matchup between Joaquin Buckley and Impa Kasanganay in Abu Dhabi ended much more quickly than most expected. In the second round, after Kasanganai blocked a kick from Buckley, Buckley surprised him with another kick to deliver Kasanganai the first loss of his career. This fight was a win by knockout for Buckley, and he was awarded bonuses for best knockout and best fight of the night. After the fight was over, Impa Kasanganai released a statement confirming his health and commended Buckley for the great fight.
The latest race in the NASCAR Xfinity racing series took place this past weekend in Charlotte, North Carolina. A.J. Allmendinger won the race in spite of the pouring rain and lack of visibility. This is Allmendinger's second win of the season, and his victory eliminated several drivers from contention for the title in the Xfinity series. The next race is the Kansas Lottery 300, which will take place on Saturday, October 17th at Kansas Speedway.
The NFL continues to struggle with handling COVID-19 outbreaks throughout the league. The Buffalo Bills and Tennessee Titans had their game postponed due to multiple positive tests within the Titans organization. As of Sunday, the NFL is still unsure on whether or not and when this game will be played. Another game between the New England Patriots and Denver Broncos was also postponed. This matchup was moved to Monday night of Week 6, or October 19th.
So, Ethan, I have to ask, as I am a Dodgers fan, do you watch baseball?
I watch enough to know that the Astros should have been banned for the postseason.
Thank you for saying that.
It is ridiculous that they benefited for so long and didn't get their title stripped, didn't get a postseason ban, just the bare minimum punishment.
I mean, AJ Hinch got a year ban for managing, and unfortunately, like, none of the Astros players involved got fined. And the bottom line is that they participated in the cheating. They should have been punished at the very least.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. It is an embarrassment for Manfred as a commissioner.
Well, anyway, that's all for the sports news this week. We'll see you next time.
Hello there and welcome back to TUTV Entertainment Segment. I am Ryan Bennett.
And I'm David Jeffelin, and let's get right into entertainment.
The Warren Theater in Broken Arrow has closed its doors temporarily due to the ongoing pandemic. Regal Cinemas, the company that owns Warren Theaters LLC, announced last week that all of their locations across the nation will be temporarily closing. The theater industry has experienced a number of setbacks this year following the onset of the COVID-19 pandemic, leading to repeated postponements and a lack of blockbuster films. This is the second time the theaters have closed, as the Warren originally closed for a few months back in March. Regal is the second largest movie theater chain in the U.S., preceded only by AMC Theaters.
Netflix has released their original series titled The Haunting of Bly Manor over this past weekend. The show is based on the 1898 novella The Turn of the Screw by author Henry James. The Haunting of Bly Manor follows a young governess who takes a job caring for the two children in a family's country estate where she encounters the spirits that haunt the home. Bly House is the second installation in Netflix's The Haunting anthology, which began 2 years ago with The Haunting of Hill House.
Philbrook Museum of Art is hosting a poetry event featuring the U.S. Poet Laureate Joy Harjo. The event is this Friday, October 16th, with Harjo performing in the Philbrook Gardens at 7:30. Philbrook has stated that there will be staggered entry times to allow social distancing among attendees. Masks are also required at all times, both inside the gallery and in the gardens. Joy Harjo is a Tulsa native and a member of the Muskogee Creek Nation. Her work is most known for incorporating indigenous values melded with feminist and social justice themes.
Rapper Megan Thee Stallion has launched a scholarship opportunity for women of color. Megan, who is a college student herself, is partnering up with Amazon Music's Rap Rotation to give out two $10,000 scholarships for women pursuing higher education. The Don't Stop Scholarship website states that women continue to be underrepresented in society and that women of color are at a larger disadvantage for accessing financial funds. The scholarship is essay-based and must be applied for through the website. Winners of the scholarship will be announced in November.
Reggaeton superstar J Balvin is teaming up with McDonald's for a promotional meal. The collaboration was announced late last week following the success of Travis Scott's own collaboration last month. J Balvin addressed the collaboration by saying, quote, "I am looking forward to sharing my signature order with my fans. along with more surprises that are to come with this partnership, end quote. The J Balvin meal comes with a Big Mac, medium French fry, and an Oreo McFlurry. The meal is available at participating McDonald's until November 1st.
That Megan Thee Stallion is doing all the things that she's doing while being in college. Like, I'm partially online and I can barely do my homework. I'm so envious of her. What do you think?
I'm fully online, and she's set to graduate the same year as me next year, and she's a medical student. I think it is. It's like affiliated with a medical college or something like that. And I can't even imagine having the time to rap, go to gigs and things like that.
Yeah, she was just on SNL like this last weekend.
I know.
But that's all we have for this week, so we'll see you next week.
Hi everyone, welcome back to Brewing Beer with me, Claire, and my two roommates, Mag and Stina. Today, we are going to be doing the second part of the process, which is bottling and conditioning.
First, we got the beer out of the closet where it was fermenting for 2 weeks. Next, we cleaned the bottles, and then we put a teaspoon of sugar in each bottle so that the beer can carbonate and condition. Next, we filled the bottles at an angle up to about 2 inches from the top, and then we screwed on the lids. Lastly, we put the bottled beer back in the closet where it will sit for 2 more weeks.
That's it for part 2. Thanks for watching, and join us next time when we try the beer. Bye! Jam Swag Brew Co. Oktoberfest. Oktoberfest.
I think that package is really interesting that we're able to see like the process of brewing beer. But the one thing that like the whole time watching it, all I could think about is like when you go to Starbucks and you could ask for like gallons of coffee and like the creamers and how it was set up, and you could just like pour it yourself. I don't know why, but it gave me that vibe.
Yeah, I feel that.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of the things I realized like with COVID happening is that like you can't really do that now because you can't really like share germs.
True.
So
I don't know. I feel like if you're in the same germ bubble as your roommate, then it works out,
Yeah.
As long as it's like an agreement.
An agreement of sharing
we'll expose each other, but no one else.
Yeah. I feel like that's like the craziest thing that you have to think about, like your germ bubble. And I feel like that's nothing you really had to think about before because, we're all like, germs, they'll just help our immune system. But now we're like, protect others.
Yeah, it is a little weird. I like feeling naked leaving without a mask now.
Yes.
I definitely would not have felt that a year ago.
No, yeah. I feel like it's weird whenever you like walk outside of like wherever you're living and you walk, you're like, oh, what is everyone? Oh, forgot my mask for the 5th time this week. And you have to like run back before anyone can see you. You're like, I am helping others. I just need to put it back on.
Yeah. I think I actually have nightmares about it now.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, they're not like, oh no, nightmares, but they're like, oh, forgot my mask. That'll happen like once a week where I'll have a dream and the whole plot of the dream is I'm hanging out with people and I forgot my mask. That's the whole thing.
Wow.
And I'm only like mildly terrified, and that's the entire plot of the dream.
Is this like the first nightmare that you've ever had like reoccurring?
Yeah, I think so.
Really?
So, yeah.
When I was younger, like for a good like 5 months when I was in 3rd grade, I had this like nightmare that would happen where it's like, if you remember from Pokemon, that like Venus flytrap Pokemon,
yeah,
it would just chase me around this building over and over again, and it would be like we were looking through each other's windows and like go across and like all of a sudden be like standing and be like aha, and then like trying to that's all I was doing. But
well, avoid Venus flytraps, and we'll see you next week, TU.
Bye guys.